Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar, Convert 2D AutoCAD to 3D Revit with Strucsoft, the ultimate framing solution. This webinar is brought to you by Graitec. My name is Misty Scott and I am pleased to be your moderator today. As a reminder, you can find a schedule of upcoming events, webinars, and training on our calendar at asti.com/calendar. Before we dive in, we'd love to learn more about how we can best support you and your businesses. So if you could take a moment to answer the poll questions on the right-hand side of your screen, it would help us learn how we can best serve you. We'd also like to invite you to take advantage of our free trial of Strucsoft and check out our custom training options. You can scan the QR code on the screen, but I'll also add these back to the screen at the end of the webinar as well as in the chat for those who are joining on demand. Feel free to drop any questions as they come to mind during the presentation, and we will be able to answer those at the end. All right, very pleased to introduce our expert today. Genevieve is a software technical specialist for Strucsoft at Graitec with a deep expertise in Revit, MWF, ProWood, Onyx, and CAD work. She specializes in prefabricated wall panels and architectural modeling, backed by a strong foundation in mechanical and electrical drafting and a passion for sustainable, forward-thinking design. Thank you so much for joining us today, Genevieve, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it on over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to be diving into some 2D to 3D.
And
now,
Genevieve, we do not hear you.
Oh, goodness, you don't hear me at all? Okay.
Give us 1 second, guys. We're going to fix our technical...
Huh. Okay.
Oh, you can hear her. Okay, it's just me. All right, then go on ahead.
Okay, I'm going to continue then. Okay, so I'm on the Revit start page. I haven't begun anything. Please note that this presentation today is going to be more about understanding the workflow rather than doing a sort of step-by-step training. So what I'm going to do first and foremost is I'm going to open a brand new file. And okay. So I'm starting from scratch, but I'm not totally 100% starting from scratch. I'm using a template file that I have created for this presentation because I want to demonstrate. I'm just looking for my file. Pardon me. It'll take a second. There we go. Okay. I'm going to bring this over. There we go. So I'm using a template file that I've created for the purpose of this demonstration. And I'm going to open this file and I'm going to hit OK. So I'm opening it as a project file. And the main point of why I'm showing you guys how to do it this way is because the best way to use the software to do framing is to have a pre-set up template file. So I'm not going to be showing you how to create template files from scratch. We're going to really be showing you how to bring in a 2D image and trace over it and then frame it. So to start, there's some things that we need to consider. Just because this is a brand new file, I'm going to go on the first floor plan. And the idea here is to understand that if you have any kind of company and with any kind of standards, when you're doing any drafting, is to have this all pre-set up. This is how to make it work the most efficiently. So in this case, this file has a pre-set up, and I'm going to just give you guys a tiny little bit of a tour. So in terms of setup, what it has, it's going to have some text styles. It's going to have some dimension styles set up. It's going to have some title blocks already pre-set up. It's going to have its views already pre-set up. So I already have a first floor, a roof plan, a second floor, and a top of footing. I already have a 3D view. In my views, I already have these scales and these view types pre-set up, pardon me. And I also have my elevations, which we're going to go and open one real fast to check this out. So if I look at my elevations, these are already set up, which means I already know where the top of the footing is going to be, the first floor, the second floor, and the top plate where the roof would be. Now, in terms of how we set up template files, and company standards, it's good to have a very general kind of template file setup. And once you have all that, the best thing that we can do in this case I'm just going to go back to my first floor, is to also have in this template file for our projects, any types of walls, floors, roofs that we're going to be using in our projects day in and day out. These are just general settings that we like to have set up in advance. This is how the software becomes very, very efficient. We don't want to have to be redoing these things over and over. It gets very tedious. Once we have this template file set up, what we like to do is we are going to have our MWF set up at the same time. Now, in this case, I already have an MWF set up. Everything is set up because I'm mimicking how I would be using this in the real world if I was a drafter working for a company, let's say, that does panels. This is how I'd be working. Okay, I'm getting a project. What do I do? Well, first of all, I'm going to show you guys how to import a CAD file, which is a DWG, and then I'm going to show you how you can equally just import a PDF file. So I'm going to start with the CAD file, and where we're going to begin first, I'm going to bring in the first floor. I don't really need to bring in the footing because there's no panels that are going to be created in the basement. So the first thing we're going to want to do, I'm on my first floor. I'm going to go where it says File, and I'm going to go to, oh, pardon me, that's the reverse. I'm showing you guys this backwards, but I want to go into Insert. So I'm going to be inserting a CAD file. First thing I do is I just click on it, and it's going to bring me back to my folder. I'm going to go into my folder where all of my DWGs are stored. Now, not to go into tedious because I know there's a lot of lovely examples online, but this is definitely a workflow video. I'm not going to be playing around too much with this, but essentially what's important to understand is to have these divided by floor so that they line up nicely one on top of the other when we go and trace them in. So first one's first, I'm going to bring in my first floor, and I'm on my first floor. I want to make sure that all of my lines are in black and white. I don't want any colors because when it comes to AutoCAD and all of the layering and the colors, it can get very overwhelming when we're looking at it on a white background. I'm going to keep my internal origin, and I'm going to keep everything pretty much as is. And I'm going to hit open. There we go. So I have my level 1. It comes in and it's automatically pinned, and that is great. That's exactly what we want. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over into the second floor, and I'm going to bring in the second floor. So there we are, second floor, black and white. I'm going to hit open. Okay. One thing I want to make sure before I go too far, I want to make sure that they're stacked one on top of each other. There's many ways we can do this, but it's really important to have them aligned. One way is I can turn on my range base. Right now there is none, but if I turn on first floor, I should be able to see the floor right underneath appear. And a good way to see if they're perfectly aligned is the grid point. The grid lines are going to be right on top of each other. We're not going to have anything is not going to be disaligned. If I move this right here, I'm going to unlock it and you'll see right away what I mean. So if they were not aligned, we would see them completely disaligned. In this case, they came in aligned. They don't always come in aligned for the simple fact that if you're working from an AutoCAD drawing and you have all of your floors in the same file with all of your elevations, all of your detail sections, what happens is if you had this all in one file, you would bring it and you would have your entire file on one floor. What's best practice is to go into your file and separate them, keep them separate, and keep them on the same origin point. Like that, they are going to come in automatically stacked properly. It's okay if they're not stacked properly. There's no problem with that because you can just move them when they're brought in. Now, when it comes to AutoCAD, generally speaking, they should come in to scale, but you want to verify that just to be sure, just to make sure everything's fine. You're going to want to check these dimensions. to make sure you don't have to scale it. In this case, we're good. I'm going to give it another dimension just to be sure. I'm going to go over here. There we go. This looks pretty good. It looks pretty much to scale. Now I'm going back to my first floor. Now, since this was all set up in advance, I'm going to open back up my north view. We're not going to see anything really go on because it's just going to come in as a line. I'm going back to my first floor. I want to make sure it's nice and pinned. I do not want this to move or go anywhere. So first thing we're going to do once we're ready to start drafting, since we have everything pre-set up, we already have our wall types, we already have our dimension styles. One thing we want to do, actually before we do our floors, we're going to just put in some grids. And I'm going to pick line just to make sure I can have these grids pop right over it. Oh. And I want it to start with grid 1. Now, I'm just going to copy all of these grids over right on top of the other grids. Just to make sure everything stays in place. It is quite a big building. I'm not going to completely draft the entire building, but I am going to show you guys a couple of neat tricks to make your process go faster. Okay, I have one row done over here. I'm just going to move this over. And I'm going to put in the other row here. I'll re-letter that and copy this one down. There we go. Okay. Now when we start tracing our walls, it's going to be a lot easier. I'm going to start with my walls. Since I know in this case, if I zoom in, it is a 5.5 wall, and I already have walls that are set up for this project. It's not going to be too hard. Let's say I'm doing this, as my regular project. I'm definitely going to be having walls pre-set up for this. So I selected my wall. I am just going to select pick lines, and I'm going to select my location line. I'm going to pick the core face exterior. That looks good for me. And I'm going to focus. Oh, hold on. I'm going to change the text, the colors, because it's going to look a lot better if you guys see what's going on. Okay. Going back to my wall. Pick line. I'm picking the core face exterior. I'm just doing the exterior side. Oh, right. I grabbed the wrong one. There we go. There we go. So I'm not doing all the lines. Oh, this went, let me just flip this over. Nice. Okay. So I have like one apartment here. And what I'll do is, I'll finish up these walls at the bottom. Pick line, we're good. There we go. There we go. And, oh. So it picked the grid line, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to go into modify. I'm going to just close off all these corners. So I'm going to close this one off. I'm going to close this one off. Close this one off. Oh, did it not do it? Oh, it didn't do it. That's okay. For whatever reason, it didn't do it. Well, I'll just go and redo this one wall. There we go. It might be finicky with me. Okay, it's not picking it. That's okay. I have other ways to fix that. As long as they're all closed, that's what I want. Okay. I think it's just how it closed it off in a strange way that I wasn't expecting. but that's okay. I got my walls drafted in here. They are coming in unconnected, and they're coming in at a height of 10 and 1 1/8. So I'm just going to go in 3D real fast. We're going to look at what this looks like. And we're going to go in north just to see where this landed. So it's going a little bit past because it's unconnected. To make things easier, we're going to go back to our first floor. We're going to select a wall, right click, select all instance visible in view, and we're going to connect them to the top plate one. And we want to make sure that there's no offset. It's okay to have a base extension. In this case, it was already set up. I'm just going to go see what this looks like. And that's fine. If it lands exactly where it should, then we're good to go. Okay. In this case, I'm just going to start drafting in my middle wall. So I already have walls set up. I already knew what to expect. I'm going to just pick lines right here. Put this wall right here. It doesn't bother me too much if it's a little longer than it should be, because I'm just going to close this up like that. And perhaps for this wall, I'm going to disallow the join. I'm going to also disallow the join where it meets up. I will align this to the structural. There we go. And I'm going to disallow join down here also, because these walls are like separation walls. I want them to be treated separate. I'll just align this one over here. Okay. This is looking pretty good. I don't have any windows put in, but that's okay. I'm just going to finish off the interior. Okay. I will need interior partition. In this case, I won't put it on wall center line. I will pick line, and I will core face exterior is fine with me. And then I'll just go drop these walls in. I'm not worrying about closing them up right away. And these walls are different, so I'm just going to go. I do have walls for stairs. I'm good. I will put these in here. Oh, I picked the wrong one. There we go. And I believe this is a different wall. So I'm going to make sure that my walls are the proper walls. Interior, partition. There we go. Okay. In this case, I want to bring this wall all the way down. I don't want to connect this one, and this will be for structural framing reasons. The other ones are fine. This one I don't want to allow join, because when it comes to a staggered wall, which is what we're going to be doing, I don't want it to connect the same way. We're good with this. This is good. I'm just going to connect these corners. This one to this one. And this one to this one. Oh, did I put that in crooked? No, I didn't. Okay. Okay. So I got my walls in. It's looking pretty good. Next step, I'm going to drop in some doors and some windows. Now I can put my garage door. I'm not exactly sure which one this was. Actually, I'll just pick this one. Oh, wrong door. Completely wrong door. There we go. That's going to look much better. And we will simply reverse this and align this. Oh, did I not align? Oh, there's like another, okay. I'm just using our regular align key from Revit. Okay. And now I can put in the rest of these doors. I would probably be using any type of PDF and scheduling to see which are the proper doors to put in, just to make sure. Okay, it isn't that one. Definitely always follow any form of PDF. It makes it a lot easier. And if you see that it's a little bit off, that's okay. You can just use the align key and bring that in, pop it into place. This one actually might be a little bit off. Perhaps not, but I would be doing verifications for sure. And especially coming from a project, now I had to remove some of these dimensions because it was so overcrowded that you guys wouldn't have seen much going on. Sometimes there's a lot going on in projects. So I'm going to use my sliding closet. Oh, I know why. I think I used the wrong door here. That's why. This is why. My bad. Okay. This is the right, not even. Okay, I guess I did have the right door. Door exterior, or it was this one. It just seemed like it was the wrong door. There we go. 72.96. It's just a height difference. Okay, I'll put it back. I'll leave it like this one. There we go. Okay. We'll finish off these doors. There's not too many doors in this bottom part, so it makes it quite easy. Okay. So in this case, maybe it's not a sliding closet. I think it was this one. There we go. So the goal is to do one section completely. Oh, I'll use the other one. There we go. The goal is to complete one section, then mirror it over. Then once we complete one section, we can then mirror it over. So we can do a floor plan pretty fast this way. I'm just going to finish putting in these doors. We have an interior single. So it might not be 100%. Probably not a 30. We'll put this one in. I think a bigger door would work, but what's nice about this is you can switch these up pretty fast. Okay, that wasn't that one. I'm just going to put a 3684. I think a 36 door would probably be better for a garage. Okay, I'm going to align this so you guys get the idea of what I'm doing. Oh, shows the wrong line. There we go. Did I get the door? Okay, we're good. Okay, so there's not too many doors. There's not too many windows. We're going to start putting in a couple of these windows. 24, I believe, are these ones. I'm just dropping these in there, and I'm going to align them after. I believe this is a big window. Here we go. I thought there was another window. I could have been mistaken. Okay, I'm going to align this. Okay. I think it actually centered it. Okay. I'm going to move this out. Normally, we'd have a lot more dimensions to work with, and I would probably suggest using just the dimensions. You can pop the windows in and then just put in your dimensions and put your windows at the proper space. In this case, it was very, very overcrowded. I'm going to bring in that other door. Not this size. There, I'll put this one. Okay, and I have two last bigger windows. Oh, they weren't 60. There. I'll just put these in. And that one was the 60, 72. There we go. Okay. Some fine tuning is definitely required when it comes to tracing over a plan. Using your dimensions, doing a thorough study of your project before you even start is definitely a must. Determining levels before you start definitely makes your job a lot easier. But the idea is once you have one side and it looks good, it's corrected, all the dimensions are proper, everything makes sense. We have these unconnected, which I also did not do. We're just going to do these real fast and make sure they're connected to the proper level to avoid any surprises. Top plate 1, okay. We're going to go check this out in 3D. So this looks nice. We have like one section going. Looks decent. If you have any kind of floor plans, meaning if you know how any floor sections are going to be pre-sectioned off, definitely good to use your plans and you can put your floors in right away. For these floors, I am just going to be putting in, if I'm not mistaken, I just have this one. I'm going to put in this one, height offset from level 1. I'm not going to touch the height offset because I want to go see what this is going to look like after. And I'm just going to draft the floor for one of these units. So I'm going to draft it where the structure would align with the outside of the structure of this floor. There we go. Because a lot of times sheathing is pulled down a little bit past this. And a lot of times we're going to have this concrete floor, that wall that's going to be right under as support. I'm not too worried about how long these lines are. I am just drafting in a floor. Oh, I think it went and drafted all around my, I'm just going to undo that last one. I guess that would have been a lot faster. That's okay. Now we'll just close this up. Make sure we have a nice floor panel. Okay, this one. Make sure these are all nice and closed looped. There we go. We have one floor panel. And there we go. Now I want to create a tiny section. I want to make sure everything looks okay. Change this visibility. Okay, everything came in nicely. Just this portion here, I might want to offset this up a bit. Following your structural plans, definitely a must. If your wall is going to be sitting on top of the sheathing, which it probably is, we can just measure it this way, or you can even go into your floor type. You'll see the distance that you need. And at this point, we can just give it a base offset of -1 foot. Oh, I did the opposite here. 1 foot. There we go. So now it's going to be constructed in such a way that it's going to be laid on top of the floor structure, and these hit the appropriate heights. Okay, once we have this We're not going to cut out our stairs right away. We don't need to do that, but we could just as easily, if I add transparency to my stairs, or my floor, pardon me. I'm going to go to my floor, and I'm going to add some transparency so we can see through it. There we go. We can see our stairwell. And I'm going to create a shaft for my floor. I am just going to create the rectangle here. And there we go. And there we go. A lot of times these floor shafts are pretty long. You can play around with it, stretch it. If we are having floors that are going up to stairs going up to another set of floors, we can stretch it out and have it go through the building. This one, I am definitely going to bring it up to the top plate. Now be careful when it comes to heights. You want to make sure they land in the right spot. But essentially what we want to do, we want to trace one complete module so that when we bring this over, I can just unselect through filter. I am not going to be bringing my views or my grids or my DWG. I'm going to hit the mirror key. Okay. In this case, I probably should have just removed this wall. We're going to see if it lands in the right space. If it is a perfect mirror, and you would see this on your plans, you're going to know right away if it is or it isn't. But essentially, if this is done correctly, you should be able to mirror everything over and it should be fine. So in this instance, there is a tiny, tiny difference. And that is simply because of this exterior wall. So we're going to want to just correct this real fast. We'll drag this out to line up. And we're going to fix this floor portion to just have this align with the center. And there we go. So now we have sections that can be built much faster. When it comes to the top floor, we'd be doing exactly the same thing. It gets faster if you're considering doing the flip from a complete module in this way. I'm just going to ignore that central wall and this exterior wall. So if it is a complete mirror, you can just grab your entire section. We're going to just filter out what we don't need. We don't need this one. We don't need this. And we don't need our views. And I'm just going to unselect this one in advance by Shift key. It shouldn't bring over my my openings because there's no host. Once I do this, I can just simply mirror this one over. Highlighted walls overlap. That's very possible. I'm going to close this. It's these walls, which is fine. I'm not too worried because I am going to grab this wall and they're going to join with it. Problem solved. Okay. So in this case, I want to make sure that it's not joined. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. Oh, it seems it was fine. Okay. So you get the idea pretty fast that you can start building a project pretty fast. If you do this method, as long as you're doing the first section properly, you're measuring everything, making sure everything's aligned, dimensioned correctly, you can probably finish this entire project really, really fast. Now, I'm not going to do the entire thing in this way, but I'm going to show you another method before we go too far. We're going to bring in a PDF just as a sample, just to show you that you can still use a PDF file. not this way. We're going to go into Insert, and we're going to go into Import PDF, and we're just going to bring in that first floor plan. Now, it's kind of finicky when it comes to a PDF file. It doesn't necessarily always come in at the proper scale, and you've got to be careful about resolution. The lower the resolution, the harder it's going to be to see your lines. So I'm going to put it at 300, and I'm just going to bring this in. It's very likely not going to be to scale, but we're going to see. Oh, and my view is a bit off, so we're going to put this in. Turn on our visible workspace, then turn this off. I'm just going to close this. So now it came in as a PDF. Looks still pretty nice, but it's not the right scale, and we do not want that. So first thing we're going to want to do, we want to enable snaps for our PDF, because this is what's going to permit us to use these lines to be able to draw on top of. If you do not enable these snaps, you won't be able to grab any of these lines, put any dimensions, or trace over them. So we're going to want to put this to scale. And we do need to, right before I start, we need to add a line reference first. So we're going to pick a line. I think this is the wrong line that I'm picking. I don't want that one. I want to make sure it's a dimension that I can easily check. When your lines are a little bit thicker, sometimes it gets a bit harder. So what we'll do, we're going to pick this line and this line. And we will do our dimension. So we can see it's almost half scale. I'm going to make a copy of this line, and I'm going to bring it down 5 feet. So now I have a 5-foot distance between here and here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my PDF, and I'm going to scale it. I'm going to scale it using the reference of this line to this line, and I'm going to bring it all the way to this line. And now I'm going to just redimension it to be sure. It's a little bit tricky when you're drawing over a PDF. It's not the best method, but it is a method that can make things faster. You still are going to have to do some adjustments to make sure everything works with the actual dimensions of your plan. Because there might be like 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch difference. It's not going to be 100% perfect. DWG is probably going to be a lot more accurate. I would recommend a DWG for sure. But essentially, once this is at scale that you want, you can pin this in place so it doesn't move. And then you can simply start tracing over it in the exact same way that we just did. So for example, I have my partition wall. I'll just go and do an example wall right here. In this case, it might be picking up, see how there's, I don't know if you guys are going to see this okay. I have a blue line for the exterior part of that wall. I have a second line. I have a third line, and I have a fourth line. Because these lines are so thick, you have to really be careful of which line you're picking. In this case, I did pick the core of the exterior, but it does look a little bit off. It's not my best favorite method. Some of you might decide it's faster to just draft the entire thing in, but it is a way that you can use PDFs to draft in your model. Okay, back we go to this model. The idea that we're doing today is to frame this and show you how fast we can frame this using MWF and having everything set up. Initially creating the setup, it does take a little bit of time. You do have to go over your standards, how you're going to be creating your windows, your walls, everything that is going to be your structural templates, even when it comes to join configurations. So as a base in this project, I'm just going to give you a tiny overview of what's already set up. I'm going to open our template manager. We already have structural templates for our walls that are already set up. They already have their own proper folder. And this is how you would be using it in the real world anyway. We have a template map set up. We have a template map for the level 1, which has all of the walls we would be using in our project and all of the structural templates assigned to them. And we have a template map for level 2. Template map for level 2, same walls, different templates for the structural configurations. Whichever one that you apply in the view you're using is the one that will be read. So I will be applying the one for level 1. And before I go too far, I want to make sure all of my join configurations are already put in. That's another very important part of this process. Since I already have join configuration set up, all I'm going to do is just click Auto Join. I already have my rules set up, and this is how we would want to use this tool ideally. So I'm going to select all my walls. Actually, I'm going to turn off this. I'm just going to hide it. I'm just going to hide elements. I'm going to hide this one just because it's kind of in the way and we can see what's going on. So ideally, I would just be mirroring this entire thing over, which I can probably do right now. I just won't put the center wall in. Filter this out. I don't want my grids or my views. Okay, we're going to mirror this all over. Oh, I probably have some, floors overlap. That's okay. Oh, it's only reading one. Oh, I think I know why. This is where the floor is overlapping. So there's a little bit of an overlap. I would be fixing this for sure, just to make sure everything lands in the right spot. And this guy is missing a, not that it's that hard to fix. If you're working with like a large project and it's modular or it's repeating, it's much easier to fix. I'm going to just align that floor. There we go. So I'm just missing this one little wall. I'm going to copy that one over. And then, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Seems I keep picking the wrong one. Okay, I'll do it this way. There we go. I'll be bringing this guy over. Actually, I picked the wrong one. I want to pick this one. Make sure I get the right one. It's a little not quite on center. That's okay. I'm going to fix that right away. Generally, these should automatically adjust. I'm not going to touch them actually for now, should I? Normally they wouldn't be joined. There, I'll just do that. Oh, out you go. There, it looks a little bit better. I would be fine-tuning this and make sure everything is in the proper spot. Okay, but that gives us a nice little project real fast. Nice little project real fast. Now what we're going to do, we're going to mass select this. And this is just an exercise. So obviously, if it was your project, I would definitely recommend take your time, make sure everything's good. I'm going to mass select all my walls, and I am going to auto join. I want to use the auto join setup that I've preset for this project. Only because if there's company standards of how join configurations happen, and you know they're always the same, creating an auto join rule set is the best way to go. Now, some of these walls might not be configured, and if we get error messages, this is exactly what they're going to be telling us. they're going to be telling us, hey, we don't have a rule for this configuration. And that's okay. So in this case, there are some of these walls that don't have rules applied to them. It simply means that wherever there was no rule created, it won't apply a join marker. And that is totally okay. In some cases, you might not want to have a join. In some cases, you might need a join marker. But essentially, it's going to pre-apply these in your project before you even frame. And now there's a lot of walls in here. I'm going to still just mass select to go check and see how many walls we got. We got 123 walls. 123, that might take a while to frame for the purpose of this exercise. So what we're going to do, let's do some like this. Walls, 51 walls, that's not so bad. So I got 51 walls. It's not quite half the project. That's fine. I'm going to use the template map that I applied for level 1, and I'm going to hit quick create. So it is going to show you in real time, quick create 51 walls with the template maps that I showed you with the join configurations applied, because it has to think about all these joins and it has to do and follow all the settings that I've set up. And ideally, you would be doing your entire project first. You would be doing the first floor with all the floors, the second floor with all of your floors also, and then you would be doing your roof. Once you would have a nice model all nice and set up, everything is checked, measured, double checked. At that point, then you would be applying your joins. You can apply join markers before or after you frame. There is no problem with doing one or the other. Sometimes you might notice during a project, oh, I don't have a configuration for this. How about we just create a new one? Even if you have a setup for your company, even if you have a very general, day in and day out type of framing structure, there's nothing that stops you from just adding to a project, even going back, adding to a template. Sometimes you might realize in a project that you have certain openings that are specific to this specific client, and you get another client down the road, and then you kind of want to steal those openings. You can go into your project and simply export those markers. You can even bring them back into your company template file to use for future use like that. You don't have to redo all the work. The point is to automate as much as possible everything that you can do, because where it's important, and as a drafter, I'm going to tell you where it's important to put your time is in measuring, verifying, peer reviewing, going through the process of making sure everything is good and on point. All those communications that you might have with other trades when it comes to plumbing, or if it comes to structural or engineers, these are communications that you need to take time on. Oh, it didn't frame my chase wall. I'm going to just go check over here. Oh, and it's not transparent. We don't want that. Oh. It's possible I forgot to apply my chase wall. Oh no, there it is. Okay, it's good. It's just this one. For some strange reason, it didn't apply the other members, or did it? Oh, I know why. Okay, so this one is fine. So this wall turned out fine, but for some reason, these two didn't frame. That's okay. It doesn't bother me too much because I can just go back and work those little details out. And this is kind of the point also. The point is to, do the bulk of it so you can do those little fine tuning after. I just want to check. Oh, okay. It didn't put up a panel. Well, I'd have to be checking this out after just to be sure that everything is fine. And as you can see, when it comes to the openings, I had pre-configured some openings in advance for the interior walls as well as for the exterior walls. I'm just going to turn this around a little bit. So I already had headers that were specific sizes assigned, 2x8s. These ones are probably 2x10s. Exactly. Okay. Now, the way I applied these openings is I have a complete library set of openings that I know are commonly used within projects. In this case, I have a bearing 3 headers of 2x8s, and I have a bearing beam top. I have different configurations, in which case all I did was create a map of these configurations, and I have assigned them inside the template of the wall. In this case, I possibly had some adjustments because it gave me an extra sill, and I wasn't supposed to have that. I'm just going to go back here just to show you quick fix. So these are 2x12s. I'm going to go back for my 2x12s right here. So in this case, it's adding that extra member right at the top, and I do not need this member. So I would be just removing this in this case. Okay, I will update that. Since this opening is being used in the structural map, because what I did is I set up in advance wall opening mapping for my exterior walls and my interior walls, which means I have a whole bunch of different openings that are going to be carrying different configurations for my interior and my exterior. And this is definitely the fastest, easiest way. If you're going to have, I don't know, 5 or 6 different type of windows in one wall, 5 or 6 different types of doors, you're going to want to have a nice setup and make sure that your structural template is going to read the sizes of those windows or the types of the windows and assign the appropriate one. So I just fixed that and it fixed my problem. In this case, I would just be regenerating wherever this was an issue and I didn't have enough room, like over here. And everything would be good. So with a proper setup, it does give you the time to work on these things. Oh, it went and did something I wasn't expecting. So this door is not, it doesn't have the proper opening size. So I'd probably be checking that. But these are the types of things that you want to set up in advance. Once you have everything set up, for example, your panel names, which would be interior B3 in this case. I probably had a typo and should have been exterior, but they are bearing walls, so that's also very important. You can name everything the way you need. Non-bearing in this case, B for bearing, and you have all of your numbers. And at this point, if you have master cut lists already set up or bill of materials already set up, at this point, it's much easier than to just run a shop drawing. I also have a shop drawing pre-set up. I don't have to redo this 25 times over. I can simply select and create my shop drawings. I can have multiple setups also, which if you're already familiar with the software, you're already going to know this. So you can get a project done pretty quickly. I'm not saying that this project, I would have finished it in one day, but we can definitely take, oh, pardon me, I just want to go back. It was 11, I got the right one. So this is just a basic shop drawing. It gives you an idea of what you can start producing, pretty quickly. Of course, if there's any fine tuning to go in to add a stud, move a stud, rotate a stud, little tiny changes, you'll have the time to do that. If you're able to just draft in your model, check it, do the bulk of the automated framing so that you can do your fine tuning and it goes pretty well. It's a pretty good process, but it's all about workflow, and it's definitely all about the steps that you make. Your process is definitely going to define the output of the project that you get. So put more time in your process in setting everything up properly so that you can check it, and you're good to go. That pretty much concludes what I had to present today. If there's any other examples of stuff that people would like to see, I'm super open. Even if it's for a future webinar and there's things that we haven't covered, I'm super open to hearing any type of suggestion.
Genevieve, Genevieve, I love that. And guys, I would appreciate that too. If there's any topics or things that you would like to see, you can throw them in my email at webinars@graitec.com. I would love to know that too. And Genevieve, we've got a couple of questions. I think we've got a few minutes if you're able to answer them.
Yep, totally. Yep.
All right. So some of these may have been answered by your fellow colleague, Steve, but the first question here from Jim is, did you load it with Revit, structural columns, framing, etc.?
With Revit, did I load the framing components, or
this was in the very beginning?
The template file. Oh, can I read them? Are they in the...
Yeah, if you go to the attendee chat little...
There you go.
But you scroll all the way up to Jim.
Okay. For those joining, did you load it with Revit structural columns framing? Okay, I think I get what you mean. So when it comes to the framing components, we have to use the structural framing and not the columns. We used to use, if I'm going into and I'll show you real fast, into the insert, load family, into our Pro Suite. I'll just go back to our Imperial folder. So we have BIMSF dimensional lumber. This is like the common lumber that comes within MWF. This is our basic family. You can create your own families using these ones, or sometimes you can import your own families. Now, we used to have a family, we don't have it anymore, that was a column family, and it's very important to not use columns anymore. We don't need them. We only use the ones that are carrying structural framing. I hope that's the question, and I hope I answered that.
Awesome, Jen. Let us know if that answered the question for you. The next one here is there any benefit to importing versus linking a CAD or PDF file?
Linking it in is very good. It's a very good idea. I didn't show it in this case, but I know all about it because when it came to AutoCAD as a past AutoCAD drafter, we used to use what's called XREFs, and we would link in our XREFs. So it's a very similar process and principle where you can link in your PDF, you can link in an image, and I think you can link in a CAD, an IFC, or a Revit. So there's a lot of practical sides to linking it in, and that's mostly wherever you're saving the file that you linked in. If ever there's any changes, if your architect sends you a new updated version, you replace it in the file, pardon me. And then when you open your project, you'll have a prompt that comes up. And at that point, you can relink in the new one. And if there's been any changes, you can also just update those changes. And if you guys are familiar with how this works, you know that if I make a change and a wall moves out, because this does happen, my structure changes in place. Anyone who knows MWF will know that they can simply regenerate and everything is fixed. So same goes for linking in a DWG. If you have any prompt that tells you need to update it because there was a change, at that point it will update.
Fantastic. And also, guys, sorry that the dialog box wasn't showing. Maybe me and Genevieve can get together to kind of add that on later, but apologies about that. The next question here is, what if you have a raster PDF and you cannot snap to content? Is there a way to change that?
Oh, that I would not know. Only because I have not used those ones. Annotate, insert a raster PDF. So in this case, I would not know about a raster PDF. Just because I've never practiced it, that's the type of thing I would probably have to ask.
Yeah, we've got Ashley's email, so we'll just take that question, Ashley, and we'll get
Okay.
back to you. We want to give you a good, strong answer to that. Um, oh, she has a follow-up here. I was told that the enable snaps will only work with the vector PDFs and not a raster one unless Revit can convert it. Maybe this is also part of the follow-up.
It could be part of that same follow-up where I'm not sure about the raster one.
Okay. Eddie said, is there a Strucsoft template or full complete project available?
Do we have, okay, so let's say you get a free trial. This I can answer. If you get a free trial, you're gonna have Strucsoft with all of the default templates already pre-installed, which means, for example, if I'm opening this one real fast, anything that says anything that isn't renamed by me. So you're gonna have all of these opening default templates, which are for your openings, and you also have you have a set of defaults for joins. You have a set of default markers, a lot of different type of markers, even for point loads, stuff like that. And in the template manager, you're going to have a default wood, and you're going to have an MWF wood, which is a basic kind of setup that comes with it. So you can start off with these ones and build your own template files from there.
Awesome. And I know our colleague here, Steve, kind of highlighted setting up your templates and markers specific to the way you work is a service Graitec offer, as well as training courses too. So just wanted to highlight that. And just a couple of questions here. Last question. Last two. Okay. Can you model one apartment and mirror/copy?
Okay. You can model the Revit elements. So you can mirror copy and model anything that is a Revit component or a family that you can. Now, where this gets tricky, and this is why we have template maps when we want to do an entire floor, and this is actually something that's been coming up a lot. Could I just frame everything, grab everything, and then go up to the second floor and then just, copy paste it? You probably could, but then when it comes to the parameters and everything that's tied to these panels, because each panel has its own set of information tied to it. And at this time, we can't just grab an entire, you could grab it, but all your parameters, it's like you're not gonna have a panel attached to it. So you would kind of lose that information. So I could grab this entire thing and copy it up, but then I won't have a panel. And the panel is what's important. Sure, it creates a duplicate, but then if I try and go inside it, it probably won't let me. It's not reading it as a panel anymore. They've all become officially separate entities inside of Revit, where you want to have your panel information because all of this is tied to this wall, and you want to have this information. It's super, super important that you keep each panel with all of its information tied to it, all of its settings tied to it. Because when you go to create shop drawings, if you don't have a panel and you don't have, a panel name or everything that's tied to it, your shop drawings are going to produce nothing.
All right. And one more question here. Eddie says, does it do truss design?
Yes. So if I go over here, these are our different modules, and I didn't go through each module because I was focusing mostly on this subject, but we have a truss module. Now we have a truss module for specific trusses like this, and we have a rafter roof truss module when it comes to just rafter roofs, which is a little bit more simple. Trusses are a little bit more complex. They are design, but they are mostly a placeholder, and you can have shop drawings for them equally. The only thing is there's no engineering portion that is part of it, but you can design your trusses, you can make shop drawings for your trusses, and use them in your project, and you will see them as a truss. The only thing, you don't have any engineering tied to it because that will probably require an engineering stamp or it's a little bit more complex.
Eddie loved that. He said, truss options. Wow, thank you. So for the win with the truss options.
Nice. And we also have a floor module. And this is all part of the same package. So if you, for example, get MWF, wood or Pro Suite, you automatically get these that are part of the package. So you can automatically do your floors, your trusses, your rafter roofs, and your wall panels.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So as we close things out, I do want to let you guys know there was a popular request that came in and they were like, listen, Misty, we love the Strucsoft webinars. We need to be opt into all of them instead of having to register for each one. So you can click right on the screen. You can enter your information. You'll automatically be registered to all Strucsoft webinars. You'll never miss a single webinar. So you can do that. And I also put the free trial there for you guys. So if you're interested in that, you just let us know. But if you think of any questions after the webinar that you didn't ask, you can send those on into webinars@graitec.com. I'll get you connected with the right person and the right answers. And Genevieve, is there any final things that you want to say to close out the webinar today?
Well, I'm really thankful everyone showed up. And also, if you have any stuff you want to see, any stuff that in webinars we haven't touched on yet, stuff you're curious about, send us ideas, because that's like the best and most fun way to do webinars is when we can actually connect with that audience and be able to give them what they want. So that's all I got to say.
I love it. Fantastic. You heard it from Genevieve and Misty. If you've got some requests for topics for webinars, we want to hear about it. You can email us at webinars@graitec.com. I want to thank you all for joining us today. I hope it was meaningful and impactful to you and your businesses. Genevieve, thank you as well. And we look forward to seeing you all on future webinars.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.